Hello everyone, welcome to Circuit Masterclass. If you want to learn electrical engineering in a simple and practical way, you're in the right place. In this video, we'll understand today's topic step by step with easy explanations and clear illustrations. So, without wasting any time, let's get started. What is a capacitor? Let's begin with the most fundamental question. What exactly is a capacitor? At its core, a capacitor is simply a system made up of two conducting plates, placed facing each other, with a dielectric medium sandwiched in between them. That's it. That's the entire physical structure. Two plates facing each other, separated by some insulating material in the middle. Now, when we connect this capacitor across a voltage source, say a battery, something interesting happens. Opposite charges begin to accumulate on the two plates. One plate ends up positively charged and the other ends up negatively charged. Naturally, we call the plate carrying the positive charge the positive plate and the other one the negative plate. And here's an important result. Once everything settles down, the voltage that appears across the capacitor becomes exactly equal to the voltage of the source. But notice, I said once everything settles down. That phrase is doing a lot of work here, and it brings us to a key concept, the steady state condition. Why does steady state matter? Let's slow down and actually walk through what happens physically, step by step, right from the moment we connect the capacitor. Initially, right at the instant of connection, there is no charge at all on either plate. Now suppose we connect one plate to the positive terminal of the battery and simultaneously connect the other plate to the negative terminal. The moment the first plate touches the positive terminal, something happens at the atomic level. The free electrons sitting in that metallic plate get pulled away, migrating toward the positive terminal of the battery. Since electrons are negatively charged and they are now leaving the plate itself is left with a deficit of electrons, making it positively charged. At the very same time, on the other side, the second plate is touching the negative terminal of the battery. Here, the opposite happens. Electrons from the negative terminal flow into this plate and accumulate there. With this extra buildup of electrons, this plate becomes negatively charged. Now, this migration of charge, electrons leaving one plate, electrons arriving at the other, doesn't go on forever. It continues only until a specific condition is met. The potential difference that builds up between the two plates becomes exactly equal to the potential difference of the battery itself. Why does it stop exactly there? Because as charge keeps accumulating on the plates, the potential difference between them keeps increasing. This creates a kind of back pressure. The more charge builds up, the harder it becomes for more charge to keep flowing in the same direction because the plates are increasingly pushing back against the battery's own voltage. Eventually, the plate voltage rises to meet the battery voltage exactly, and at that point, there is no more driving force left to push additional charge onto the plates. The flow of charge simply stops. This is the steady state condition, defining the charge and capacitance. Let's now put a number on this. Suppose, by the time this process settles, a charge of plus Q has accumulated on the positive plate and correspondingly, a charge of minus Q has accumulated on the negative plate. Now, if you simply add these up, plus Q and minus Q, mathematically, the total is zero. But here's the convention we follow in circuit theory. We don't describe the capacitor's charge as zero. Instead, we say the charge of the capacitor is Q, referring to the magnitude of charge sitting on either plate. Here's the next key observation. As the charge Q on the capacitor increases, the voltage V across the capacitor increases right along with it. In other words, charge and voltage are directly proportional to each other. We can express this relationship as Q is proportional to V. Or, introducing a constant of proportionality, we write Q equals C times V. This constant, C, is what we call the capacitance of the capacitor. It's a property that tells us exactly how much charge the capacitor can store for a given applied voltage. Now, this capacitance C isn't some arbitrary number. It actually depends on three physical factors. First, the area of the conducting plates. Larger plates can hold more charge. Second, the distance between the plates, how far apart they are. And third, the permittivity of the dielectric medium placed between the plates. Essentially, how well that particular insulating material supports the electric field. Rearranging our earlier equation, Q equals CV, we get C equals Q divided by V. And from this, we can directly read off the unit of capacitance. It must be coulombs per volt. We give this unit a special name, the farad, and we use the capital letter F as its symbol. Now let's actually calculate the capacitance. Suppose we define the following. The area of each plate is A, measured in square meters. The distance separating the two plates is D, measured in meters. And the permittivity of the dielectric medium between the plates is given by epsilon naught times epsilon r, where epsilon naught is the permittivity of free space, that is, of vacuum, and epsilon r is the relative permittivity of whatever dielectric material we've placed between the plates. As before, the positive plate carries a charge of plus q coulombs, since it's connected to the positive terminal of the battery, and the negative plate carries minus q coulombs, connected to the negative terminal. The battery itself supplies a voltage of V volts. From this, we can define the charge density on the plates, that is, charge per unit area, as sigma equals Q over A. Now here's an important simplifying assumption we make. We consider the plate area A to be much larger than the separation distance D between the plates. Why does this assumption matter? Because when this condition holds, the electric field between the plates becomes essentially uniform, and it points perpendicular to the plates. This is what lets us apply some very clean, simple mathematics rather than dealing with messy field distortions near the edges of the plates. Let's call the magnitude of this uniform electric field E. By Gauss's law, we can express this electric field as E equals sigma divided by epsilon naught epsilon r, which is the same as Q divided by epsilon naught epsilon r A. Let's label this as equation 1. Now, we also know independently that the electric field between two plates separated by distance d with a potential difference V across them can be expressed simply as E equals V over d. Let's call this equation 2. Since both of these expressions describe the same electric field E, we can set them equal to each other. Q divided by epsilon naught epsilon RA equals V over d. Rearranging this to solve for Q, we get Q equals epsilon naught epsilon RA V divided by d. Let's label this equation 3. But remember, we already have another expression for Q from earlier, equation 4. Q equals CV. Now, since both equation 3 and equation 4 are expressions for the same charge Q, we can equate them. CV equals epsilon naught epsilon RA V divided by d. Notice that V appears on both sides, so we can cancel it out entirely. What we're left with is a clean final expression for capacitance. C equals epsilon naught epsilon RA divided by d. This is the fundamental formula for the capacitance of a parallel plate capacitor. And it beautifully confirms exactly what we said earlier. Capacitance increases with larger plate area A, decreases as the plate separation D increases, and increases with a higher permittivity dielectric material placed between the plates. I hope this video has helped you understand the concept clearly. If you found it useful, please like the video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to Circuit Masterclass. Don't forget to press the bell icon so you never miss our upcoming videos on power systems, protection, transformers, switchgear, transmission lines, and other electrical engineering topics. If you have any questions or suggestions, let me know in the comment section. Thank you for watching. See you in the next lecture.